Valeria, are you sure, Esther? I ask with a broken voice, and my heart races, filled with happiness. Very sure, Luna. You're pregnant. Why haven't I been able to smell it, or his father? I ask worried. It's very recent, perhaps that's why. Give it a few more days and you should be able to sense the pheromones. She replies and I nod, my eyes blurred with tears. I am the Luna of the Autumn Forest Pack. 3 years ago. I married the man I love madly despite not being destined mates. My alpha Dorian, I've given everything to be the perfect Luna. The pillar he can lean on. However, a shadow looms over my marriage. The topic of an heir that I've never been able to get pregnant. And I admit I don't share the bed with Dorian as often. But I know his duties as alpha keep him extremely busy and stressed. Please don't tell anyone in the pack. I want to surprise my husband. Don't worry, Luna, I won't say anything. Congratulations. She smiles at me and I return the smile, overflowing with excitement and happiness despite being a foreigner, not originally belonging to this pack. Ever since my parents died and the previous alpha took me in, I've never felt rejected or looked down upon. That's why I've devoted myself fully to my duties as Luna. I'm grateful for my life and the wonderful man I'm married to. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. What's with all this food? Is there going to be a party? Hands off. I sweat away the greedy claws of Sophia, my best friend, who sneaked in through the back kitchen door. But wow, puff pastry tart and everything, she says, sitting on a stool. Honestly, I may have gone a bit overboard with the dishes, but I'm so happy. I want everything to be perfect. All my alpha's favorite foods are ready. Well, today is Dorian's and my anniversary. I want to celebrate with an intimate dinner, I say, turning back to the caramel on the stove. I don't hear her respond, so I turn halfway, curious. What's wrong? Nothing. I just heard the alpha had an emergency today. Didn't he tell you? She asks, and I frown. Actually, Dorian doesn't usually explain much about his work. That I guess it's to avoid worrying me. No, but he'll come back anyway. He knows today is special. I respond, completely convinced. She looks at me strangely. Lately, I can't quite understand her, but she's the first person who approached me in this pack and has always supported me. I value her greatly as a friend. Sophie, there's something I want to tell you, but I'll tell you tomorrow. It's very important to me, I say suddenly, wanting to share the good news with her, but not before confessing it to Dorian. Really? Can't you tell me now? She asks, gossip mode activated, leaning over the counter while munching on a homemade cookie. No. Tomorrow. I promise you'll be the second to know. I reply, and I can feel my happiness radiating from every pore. Fine, I'll leave you with your mystery then. I've got things to do. Happy anniversary night. She grumbles, frustrated I didn't spill the secret, and leaves the same way she came. I check the clock. There's still time. I take off my apron and head to the second floor to shower and get dressed nicely. Everything has to be perfect tonight, celebrating with my beloved mate. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. I glance at the clock for the 1,000th time, sitting on the sofa. It's past midnight, and Dorian hasn't arrived. I look at the cold dishes on the dining table and get up, resigned to reheating them again. I'm in the middle of that task when I hear the front door open and close. His delicious scent tingles my nose, warming my stomach. I glance at my burgundy dress, smoothing it out and fixing my hair in the hallway mirror. My jet black hair is tied in a high ponytail, and my intensely blue eyes, highlighted with makeup, stare back at me. I step into the foyer, watching my imposing alpha enter the door. My love, how was your day? Lots of work, right? I grab the coat he's holding to hang it up. I see him clutching some documents, but I assume they're pack matters. I move closer to kiss him, but he steps back. I'm sweaty and dirty from the road. Don't contaminate yourself, he says, his piercing honey eyes staring at me. Eyes I adore despite their constant coldness. It's just part of his nature. He carries too many responsibilities after inheriting the role so young when his father died. His blonde hair is messily sexy, and for some reason damp. I can even catch the scent of an unfamiliar shower gel. Why would he shower before coming home? And he said he was dirty, yet it's clear he just bathed. Sure, give me a second to reheat dinner. You must be hungry. I'm not hungry. Valeria, we need to talk. But the dinner. Forget dinner. Let's go to the living room. I need to tell you something. His authoritative voice makes me tense. I follow him, starting to feel deeply worried, and my hand slips into my skirt pocket, clutching the folded document stating I'm pregnant. Why was the table so full of dishes? Were you planning a party? He asks, glancing at the dining room. My heart clenches. Love, I know you've been busy with pack duties, but don't tell me you forgot our anniversary? Today marks 3 years since we mated. I say, sitting on the couch. I expect him to sit beside me, but instead, he chooses the armchair opposite. Dorian has never been overly affectionate, but tonight he's too distant. Too cold that an alarm goes off inside me. Of course I remembered. You have no idea how long I've been waiting for our 3rd anniversary. He replies, but I don't see a trace of joy in his expression. I know everything will change with my news. Our relationship hasn't been great because of this. The pack elders keep pressuring him for an heir. When I tell him about the baby, he'll be happy. I'll be quick because I can't stand this any. Wait, Dorian. Let me show you something first and then you can tell me what you wanted to say. I interrupt him, feeling a strong premonition I won't like his next words. Lowering my head, I take out the folded paper and hand it to him, my heart racing with emotion. He takes it, reading silently as I watch him, anxious, waiting for his joy to match mine. I'm pregnant. I'm carrying your pup. We'll have an heir for the pack. I'm sure the goddess has blessed us with a son. I can't hold back and blurt it out directly, tears in my eyes. I rise and move toward him, wanting to embrace him. But as in love as I am, even I can see this isn't the reaction I expected from the father of my child. Are you sure about this, or is it just a trick to keep me tied to you? He suddenly says, rising and pushing me away when I try to hug him. Thorne, of course I'm sure. Look, that's the midwife's handwriting. Why would I lie about something so important? My love, what's wrong? What's happening, my alpha? No. Damn it. I watch him pace like a caged wolf around the living room. This can't be happening. Not now. Dorian. Did you tell my mother? Anyone else? He asks suddenly, approaching me and gripping my shoulders tightly. No, love. I was waiting to tell you first. I thought you'd be happy. I know they've been pressuring you. Alpha, you don't have to be tense anymore. We'll have our family. I raise a trembling hand to caress his cheek, but he just stares at me with those golden eyes. Silent, I can't figure out what's going on in his head. You're right. I've been very stressed. I'm sorry. He suddenly pulls me into his arms, and I finally sigh, relieved, hugging him back tenderly. For a second, I feared he wasn't happy. We'll get through this together, my alpha. I'll be the perfect Luna so no one will judge you. I whisper, lifting my head, and I want him to kiss me, to make love to me like we haven't in a long time. Let's go for a run. A wild, unrestricted anniversary night. He suddenly suggests it, taking my hand and pulling me toward the back of our house, which borders the pack's forest. Shift into your she-wolf, he commands, and I watch him undressing. He's so sexy and strong. His hair glows under the moonlight, and I begin the transformation into my she-wolf, one of the greatest lies and secrets of my life, something not even Dorian knows. ****************************************************************************** asterisk 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 we run freely across the pack's lands, but I notice how we keep going farther and farther, even crossing the borders, yet I just follow Dorian's massive white wolf racing wildly ahead of me. We reach a remote place, at the edge of a deep cliff, but above us the moon shines intensely, and the forest landscape stretches far below. Where is this? We're outside our pack's territory. Aren't we trespassing on someone's land? I gaze into the distance from the edge, mesmerized by the view, having already shifted back into human form. But no one responds. I feel uneasy and start to turn around. However, something inside me stirs with alarm. A crow caws in the distance, but it's already too late. Dorian, wa? Aya! I scream as I feel wolf claws tearing into my abdomen, deeply ripping through me. Terrified and shocked by the sudden attack, I try to run, but I attempt to shift back into my wolf to escape into the forest, away from whatever is happening, away from this rabid alpha wolf whose blood-red eyes glare at me with pure hatred, but it's impossible to flee. Let me go. Dorian, what are you doing? What are you doing? Help! Help! I scream as he jumps on me when I try to escape. He bites my thigh viciously and drags me beneath his body, controlling me mercilessly. That I try to resist, to call for help, my hands clutching my stomach, trying to protect my pup, but his claws like deadly weapons pierce my skin, tearing apart my small, vulnerable body. I have to raise my arms instinctively when his sharp claws aim for my face, and I scream in agony as a deep wound slices across my cheek from my forehead. Leaving my belly exposed, he struck our child. No, not the pup, please, Dorian, not my son. Tears poured endlessly from my eyes as I begged him, but his canines tore through my flesh, and his claws dug into the depths of my insides with chilling cruelty, seeking to rip out the life growing inside me. I don't know how long this agony lasted. I sobbed, pleading as long as I could speak. The pain in my entire body was unbearable, but worse was the pain in my soul, bleeding and shattered. That I was discarded on the ground like trash, on the edge of a precipice, my consciousness nearly slipping away from the pain when I saw him shift into his human form. You thought you could keep me tied to you forever, you idiot! He yelled furiously. His eyes were cold and disgusted, a look I had never seen before. Did you really think I loved you, that I was dying to have a child with you? What a waste! He kicked me with rage, but I no longer had the strength to even moan in pain. 3 damn years I've been separated from my mate because of you! He roared, pouring out all the hatred he'd stored up over time. Why? I barely managed to whisper, my face swollen, my tongue heavy, and my throat bleeding from a deep wound. Because you came to the pack, the miserable orphan, and that stupid old woman said you would give birth to the strongest alphas, powerful enough to elevate my bloodline. Pure nonsense from that crazy old hag. But my mother believed her and forced me to give up my woman for you because you were infatuated with me. She gave me 3 damn years to get you pregnant, that was our deal. If you didn't succeed, I'd be free. So today I come, ready to rid myself of an obstacle like you, and you show up pregnant with some bastard inside you. He laughed like a psychopath. I won't let you do it again, Valeria. You won't ruin my life again. This is the end for you. He walked toward me, and I saw death staring me in the face. I wanted to say so many things. I didn't know you already loved someone else. I was just a foolish, infatuated girl, but I never forced you to love me back. How could you deceive me, fake everything all this time? Our child, how could you? How could you do this? I felt so powerless as I lay there, sobbing, bloody, and dying that I wished I could connect with his wolf, scream out this injustice, but I couldn't, not even that. I didn't have an inner she-wolf, that I could only shift my body and pretend. Some said it was trauma from my adoptive parents' violent death, where only I survived. Others claimed it was a curse, but I knew that wasn't true. I had never felt the presence of a wolf spirit within me. Goodbye, dear wife. You don't seem so special after all, he said cynically, and with his foot, he kicked me over the cliff's edge. The last thing I knew was the sensation of falling into the cold void. That I looked up at the dark sky as shadows of crows circled above my head, like messengers of death. I'm so sorry, baby. I couldn't protect you. Why aren't her wounds healing properly? I can't waste the pack's blood on a stranger. Jake already did too much rescuing her from the rogue woods. She has to heal on her own. Honestly, I don't even know how this woman is still alive. Poor thing. Her body is horribly damaged, especially her belly and her face. I heard voices talking nearby, hands examining me, and unbearable pain worse than death itself burned through my body, dragging me between consciousness and darkness. I don't know how much time passed or where I was, but when I opened my eyes, I saw a white ceiling. I looked around and saw a small room, lying on a personal bed. You're awake? A female voice spoke suddenly beside me, and I saw an unfamiliar face. That I tried to speak, but for some reason I couldn't. It was as if my vocal cords refused to work. Don't strain yourself. Stay calm. I don't think you can talk right now because of the wound on your neck, she explained with a troubled expression. And then my foggy mind remembered everything. The first thing I did was reach for my belly, trying to sit up despite the dizziness and searing pain. Don't move. Wait, calm down, calm down. She stopped me and eased me back down, but I needed to know desperately. I had to know if a miracle had occurred. I looked at her intensely and then at my stomach wrapped in thick bandages. Yet, I understand what you're asking, but I'm sorry, your belly was completely torn. Your womb was destroyed and your pup didn't make it. It was impossible to save him. We don't even know how you're still alive. I felt the tears pouring uncontrollably from my eyes. I closed them in pure agony, my soul shattering. My lips trembled, my entire body shook, and ragged sobs escaped my torn throat. Why did this have to happen to me? Why did everything around me have to turn into a nightmare? My baby, my pup was innocent. Why did something so horrible have to happen to him? Calm down, please. You can't get like this. Aston, I need you here. Bring the sedative. Now, Aston, hurry. Aya! Aya! I heard distorted screams, a cry so raw it could freeze the blood and shatter hearts. A desperate, broken woman wailed, and then I realized it was me. That wretched woman who had lost everything was me. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Days have passed. I know a man rescued me from the forest beneath the cliff. I'm staying in a small pack not far from Autumn Forest, with my hands still covered in wounds. I try to splash water on my face, but I can't even bear to touch my skin. I lift my head, and as I do every time I face a mirror, I have to summon all my courage. My face, once beautiful and envied by many she-wolves, now bears a horrific scar running across my forehead and another deep one on my left cheek. Dorian not only destroyed my child's life, my womb, but he also scarred my face. It should have healed, but I know it won't. I don't possess the rapid healing ability of werewolves. Yes, I heal, but slower, and scars remain. I step outside the small room and hear the healer and the she-wolf who treated me speaking quietly. They're discussing how I've used too many resources and how they may have to ask me to leave soon since packs rarely welcome outsiders so easily. But the she-wolf argues that I'm still in terrible condition. I appreciate her care and empathy, but it won't be necessary to cast me out. I've already decided. I'll leave tonight on my own. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Hours later, I walk through the dark forest like a lost soul, the damp bandages soaked with reopened wounds, bleeding. I don't care. My legs keep moving in a single direction, hiding in the bushes. I watch the patrol line carefully. I know exactly how to slip past without being detected. I designed this defense rotation myself for Dorian. Like so many things I did for him in the pack. I slip away into the shadows, as quickly as my battered body allows. The night and darkness are my allies. It's as if they amplify my strange abilities. I hear voices, laughter, and lights in the distance. From the backyard of what had been my home for 3 long years, I walk as if in slow motion, wearing old sneakers and a worn-out dress that the she-wolf from the hospital gave me. Ladies and gentlemen, I've gathered you all here today because I could no longer hide my happiness. I'm finally marrying my beloved mate, the woman of my life, my sweet Sophia, your future Luna. I feel like I'm falling into a cavern of ice as I watch them, smiling and kissing in front of those who once called me Luna. It was my best friend Sophia and my traitorous Alpha Dorian, celebrating their union while my body should have been rotting beneath that cliff if their plan had worked. Traitorous hypocrite. That woman was even wearing one of my evening dresses, made up with my things, stealing my life without a trace of remorse. She had deceived me all this time, just as I had been blind. To everyone in this pack, and worse, to the man who lay beside me every night while thinking of another woman. Even the midwife who told me about my pregnancy was there. Dorian must have promised her something to keep her silent. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms, my teeth chattering with rage. I waited like the deranged psychopath I had become, watching their entire celebration until the lights went out and everyone left for their homes. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. I climbed the stairs to the second floor, walked down the dimly lit hallway, but I could hear them perfectly. Making love in the master bedroom, her feminine moans slipped through the crack of the slightly open door. I saw myself pushing it open gently. The moonlight streamed in through the large window, illuminating that bitch riding Dorian, her back facing the entrance. Alpha, tell me I'm better than her. Come on, Dorian, tell me I'm better than that frigid Valeria. You're the best, baby. Don't even compare yourself to that stiff. Fuck me in her bed, come on. Wasn't that what you always wanted? Their filthy words hit my ears, and it was the final trigger I needed for everything to spiral out of control in an instant. I lunged at them on the bed. Valeria, I hear piercing screams, the sound of shattering glass, a savage roar, and Alpha's growls, struggling and fighting. Something hot splashes against my face and arms. My claws shred, and my canines tear. I can't stop. I can't. Rage consumes me from the inside, demanding release. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not conscious of myself. All I know is that when I regain control of my body, the first thing I see is my blood-soaked hands. I'm kneeling on the floor, everything around me drenched in red wreckage and pieces of what once was a powerful Alpha. Dorian, what have I done? What in the name of the goddess have I done? I stare at his severed head, lying just a meter away from me. Those honey-colored eyes still stare back at me in frozen terror. and I feel bile rising in my throat. I vomit to the side, unable to hold it back, disgusted by this scene of death and violence. Did I do all this? There's no one else here. Did I scan the area, not knowing where Sophia went? The only thing I'm sure of is that someone was thrown through the shattered glass window, the jagged edges stained with blood. Did I stand up on trembling legs, glance down, but all I see is the forest behind the house and bloodstains across the grass. Don't let her escape. Sophia. Stop crying and tell me clearly what happened. Voices shouted, hurried footsteps ascending the stairs. It was my mother-in-law's voice. I had to get out of here. I had killed the alpha, and only a painful death awaited me. Desperately, I looked down. It seemed I had thrown that wretch Sophia out the window. I decided to jump out myself, from the second floor. The door burst open during my hesitation, and my eyes locked with Anais, my mother-in-law, the former Luna, Dorian's mother. I saw the shock, the pain, and the fury in her eyes as she took in the scene. You miserable bitch. You killed my son. You murdered my Dorian, you whore. Seize her. Restrain her. I'm going to tear her apart with my bare hands. She screamed, and the warriors behind her charged at me. I jumped without thinking. F-gaff. I groaned in pain as I crashed onto the grass, rolling over, but I forced my body to shift into my wolf form and ran with all the strength I had left. I fled into the forest as fast as my weakened legs allowed, escaping death. I don't know if it was adrenaline or sheer will to live, but I ran like a madwoman through unfamiliar lands and tangled woods. Days passed that way, where I only stopped to rest when I was on the verge of collapse, drinking water from mountain streams and feeding on prey that somehow appeared dead before me. Yes, yet another strange thing about my life. The few times I dared to close my eyes, every time I woke up, a small dead animal lay in front of my muzzle. I devoured them without knowing if they were poisonous or where they came from. I just needed energy. All I could think about was surviving. One night, I felt them again. I thought they had grown tired of chasing my trail, but that wasn't the case. The sound of multiple wolves' footsteps echoed not far away. Desperation and exhaustion consumed me. I couldn't keep running forever. I had been skirting the borders of various packs, trying not to get caught, but that wasn't a solution. She's just ahead. I can smell her. That damn bitch will pay for this. I heard a snarl. Already so close to my trail, I could practically feel the danger breathing down my neck as I pushed my legs and lungs past their limit. I was done. They were going to catch me after all this effort. Then I lifted my blue eyes and saw them. Above me, a flock of crows cawing, circling over my wolf form, as if trying to lead me somewhere, and for some reason, I followed them. I followed their sign and ventured deeper into unfamiliar lands, into the forbidden forest where no one dared enter without an invitation, but I had nothing left to lose. If I was going to die, at least let it be quick and without torture. That's how I crossed through the mist, leading me to the Golden Moon Pack, the territory guarded by the Guardians, the land ruled by the Lycan King. I felt like no one was following me anymore. I had no idea how far I had gone into Golden Moon territory, but suddenly several powerful warriors blocked my path, surrounding me. Who are you and why have you trespassed into our pack? A massive gray wolf asked coldly, approaching me menacingly. The black wolf I shifted into, so small and fragile, would be considered an omega, the lowest rank in the pack, the weakest, often reduced to servitude. That was why, when I became Luna, I had felt foolishly grateful to Dorian. I'm only seeking refuge to rest. I'm sorry for entering your forest. Just a few days, please. I only need a few days to recover and leave. I pleaded, praying my pursuers wouldn't dare follow me here. Where do you come from? Speak. Why did you cross the forbidden forest? No one comes here for no reason. Tell the truth or I'll rip your head off right now. He growled, shoving me with his shoulder. I let out a low whimper of pain, unable to resist before he could take further action or carry out his threats. Darkness consumed my vision, and I felt my body collapse unconscious to the ground. Maybe this time, I wouldn't wake up again. The next time I opened my eyes, I was in a dark, damp cell, wearing tattered clothes barely covering my battered human body. Only the goddess knows how I'm still alive. It seems she wants me to suffer, slowly and torturously. The sound of a metal door slamming jolted me. So you're finally awake. Take her out. A massive, bald, intimidating man ordered two guards, who dragged me out. It was that gray wolf that I didn't even have the strength to walk, let alone resist. They took me to a small room where the questioning began. trying to dominate me with his alpha presence, but it didn't work. I had no inner wolf to submit to. I spent hours there, sitting on a hard chair, my hands tied behind me with ropes cutting into my skin, and no matter how much freezing water they threw at me, how much they shouted or threatened, I kept my story and waited to ditch. My head hung limply, eyes closed, exhausted. At least they hadn't beaten me or done worse. I've heard horrible stories about this pack of barbarians. Fine. Since you refused to talk, you know what awaits you. I've given you the chance to confess. His dark eyes locked on mine, giving me his final warning, but I had nothing more to say. He drew a dagger, yanked my hair back, exposing my neck, ready to slit my throat. I saw hesitation in his eyes when my black hair fell away, revealing my hideous scars. Maybe I looked pitiful, but he had a job to do, and I was ready for it to end. The dagger lowered, and I resigned myself, but a knock on the door interrupted my death once again, sending my emotions from one extreme to the other. Now what the hell? Madam. Housekeeper, what brings you here? His previously harsh voice turned nearly submissive. Curious, I looked toward the door and saw a short woman with blonde hair tied up neatly, elegant yet stern. What were you doing here? Her cold green eyes fixed on mine, and I lowered my head. She's an intruder. Pack business. You were going to kill her, weren't you? She accused. Madam, can we discuss this outside? It's protocol with intruders. I heard his words stop short as a pair of black boots entered the room, standing right before me. What's your name, girl? Valeria. I whispered weakly. Look at me when I speak to you, she ordered, and I lifted my head. She has a superior, imposing aura, and honestly, I think she's more terrifying than the massive brute. Tell me, Valeria, do you want to live or die? You can survive if you agree to work for me. If not, pretend you never saw me, she offered, leaving me stunned. What kind of work would it be? Work for the guardians in the castle kitchen or wherever you're needed, as a maid. I offer you shelter and food in exchange, a new chance to live, she said without breaking eye contact. I hesitated, feeling like I was selling my soul to a ruthless witch. The guardians were the Lycans, and the worst of them all was their leader, Aldric, the Spectre Slayer, whom all werewolves considered their king, though he didn't seem to care about the title. I don't have all day. Are you coming or not? She pressed. Housekeeper, this woman is a stranger. How can she enter the castle with the guardians? We don't know her intentions. I don't care why you entered these cursed lands. Your past stays behind if you accept my offer. But if you betray me or plot anything behind my back, slitting your throat will be the least of my punishments. The woman threatened, leaving me with only a second to decide, live or die, start anew in a strange place, possibly filled with more humiliation and suffering, or die now and end my miserable existence. I'll go with you. I accept the job. I finally chose to survive. The Golden Moon Pack was located in a valley, surrounded by dense forest with thick fog, and perched atop a hill in the distance was an imposing ancient stone castle. We traveled there in a carriage, rolling along cobblestone streets. This pack was massive, far more powerful than my former one. I remained silent the entire way, my black hair always hiding the scars on my face, my head bowed, not wanting to draw attention. The enormous ebony doors opened, carved stone walls rising tall and powerful, with strange statues perched on the dark eaves. Last, we arrived at an inner courtyard, and I stepped down from the carriage with some discomfort. I stared at the looming castle, half shrouded in mist, more nightmarish than inviting. Come. I'll give you your uniform and show you your room, she ordered, and I followed her inside. The moment we crossed the entrance, we were greeted by a massive hall. A chandelier filled with candles hung in the center, illuminating the spiraling staircases that seemed to stretch endlessly upward. I was distracted for a moment, staring at the glossy black and white marble floor, when something seemed to fall from the ceiling. Bam! I stumbled back, startled, barely containing a scream of pure panic as a woman's naked corpse crashed at my feet. She was headless, and blood still gushed from her severed neck, staining the entire floor, and even my legs. The head rolled down next, lifeless eyes frozen in a horrified expression. I looked up, trembling, and at the top of the stairs, a pair of gray lupin, savage eyes stared back at me for a few seconds, chilling my blood to the core. His entire demeanor screamed, I'm the damn master of everything here, the absolute ruler. I immediately lowered my head, trembling. It didn't matter that I lacked an inner she-wolf. The power radiating from that man felt like it could suffocate you. Crush your soul. And he wasn't even standing that close to me, he was a Lycan, the superior species of werewolves, the ultimate evolution, and I was almost certain this was the most powerful of them all. Aldric Thorne, the Lycan King. Sasha, take out the trash and make sure my next personal maid isn't a scheming whore, or she'll lose more than her head. His deep, cold, and intimidating voice echoed, followed by the sound of footsteps retreating. This is a disaster. That's the 5th one in 2 months. I don't know what goes through these girls' heads. I warned them, the housekeeper muttered as she approached, pulling a small vial from the dead woman's hand. Another one who tried to drug the king with an aphrodisiac. Idiot. I'll call a servant to take her away. And your first task begins now, clean up this mess. And so, scrubbing fresh blood off the floor, my work in the Lycan King's castle began. The first lesson I learned: never, ever try to mess with that dangerous man, or you'll end up headless. Unfortunately, I soon found myself on the razor's edge again. Sasha introduced me to the staff, a group of she-wolves and wolves working in the castle, attending to the guardians. They all stared at me as if they were looking at a monster. I didn't care. I just wanted to keep existing and stay invisible. The guardians, that's what they called the 5 Lycans who lived in this ancient, dark castle. They enforced the laws of our world, or at least those affecting werewolves, maintaining balance with other supernatural creatures. They delivered justice, protection, and punishment, often in the most brutal, merciless ways. Especially the Lycan King deity least. That's what I had always heard, that I was forbidden from climbing the stairs or wandering beyond the service quarters. And honestly, I didn't plan to try that. I focused on working and healing with the medicine the housekeeper gave me. The food here was good too. Except for the first day, I had gone 3 days without seeing any of the other guardians. Until this morning. Hey, I heard the housekeeper saying she still hasn't found a suitable candidate for the king's maid. Maybe she'll give us a chance. I was scrubbing the floor on my knees, listening to the whispers echoing through the castle's massive kitchen. My head stayed down, and my long black bangs nearly covered my eyes, helping to conceal the disfigurement on my face. My hands kept moving the cloth over the tiles, but ignoring the gossip was impossible. Suddenly, the room went silent. Heels echoed from the hallway, and tension filled the air. It was the housekeeper. Stop what you're doing. I want all of you in a line, she ordered, her voice sharp. The cooks, maids, and even me, the lowly cleaner, all lined up like prisoners standing side by side. She began her inspection, passing each trembling figure. Heads bowed low when her shadow passed in front of me. I thought she would move on. She didn't. What was your name again? She asked. Valeria, ma'am, I replied softly. Her cold finger pressed beneath my chin, forcing me to raise my head. My blue eyes met her intimidating green gaze. Good. I think I'll try a different strategy this time. Come with me, she ordered, and a sense of dread twisted in my chest. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed the stares from the other women in the line. Bitter glares filled with jealousy, anger, envy. Nothing good. That much was certain. Listen carefully, Valeria. You're going to be King Aldric's personal maid. She dropped the bombshell casually, as if it were nothing, walking toward the other side of the kitchen. Do you know how to cook, iron, organize a man's things, his clothes, and so on? Why, yes, ma'am. But I don't think I'm the right choice for the position. Perhaps someone more. It's not optional, she cut me off, turning abruptly. You either accept it or you leave. I don't need a floor cleaner right now. I need a maid for the king. Understood. I had no choice but to nod. Sometimes I forgot that this harsh woman had saved my life. Though honestly, I still didn't know why, especially now that she was sending me straight into the Lycan's den. Memorize everything I'm about to say. The king wakes up at. He doesn't like, prefers it this way, and his meals are only prepared by the cook from this section. Make sure it's always her. And you must taste it before serving him. She paced through the kitchen, the laundry area, practically the entire service zone. Listing the king's preferences and dislikes, I followed, my brain nearly short-circuiting from the overwhelming information. I need to write all this down later. All right. You'll deliver his first breakfast now. Do exactly as I told you, she said, placing a silver tray full of covered dishes in my hands. And Valeria, remember, head down. Stay invisible. You're nothing but a piece of furniture. And I trust you haven't forgotten the scene from your first day here. If you try anything against the king, believe me, he was merciful with that woman. Her warning made me swallow hard as I nodded that I didn't consider myself a coward, but it felt like I was marching straight to the gallows as I climbed the forbidden stairs. Moving through the dim candlelit corridors leading to the guardian leader's quarters, I reached the only door in this wing, an enormous wooden door with intricate carvings, and tried to recall every instruction. Don't knock at this hour. Go straight inside. So I did. Balancing the tray carefully, I twisted the heavy doorknob step by step. I entered the den of the big bad wolf, avoiding unnecessary glances around that I immediately noticed the large wooden table at the center, the dim lighting, and I focused on setting the breakfast properly, but then I heard it and smelled it. The scent of lust and sex through my bangs. I glanced toward a black door, slightly ajar. Muffled female moans seeped through, despite being closed. More than one woman's voice. The rhythmic sound of something hitting a wall echoed. Maybe the bed, I didn't know and I didn't care. The most important rule, head down, stay invisible. Don't speak. Don't look. Don't listen. That I was so focused on remembering every detail of his preferences, circling the table, that I didn't even notice when the sound stopped. Who are you? A dominant voice behind me made me flinch. My trembling fists tightened, and I turned, staring down at the gray rug. Your Majesty, my name is Valeria. I am your new maid. I managed without stuttering. A massive shadow loomed over me, every instinct screaming danger, run, but I stood firm as he placed a finger beneath my chin, forcing me to meet his gaze. I expected disgust at my scarred face. Instead, I saw fierce, intimidating gray eyes studying me, so captivating they resembled lethal steel. Where's your inner wolf? He asked, frowning. How had he noticed with just one glance? I'm not entirely sure, sir. I suffered a traumatic experience before I turned 18, and her spirit never appeared. But I can shift into my wolf form. Others say it's a curse. I added quickly, half expecting to be dismissed on my first day. Scarred, cursed, what a perfect maid. Is that why your face hasn't healed? He asked, his voice calm but piercing. I suppose so, sir. My healing is slower than others. He said nothing, but his intense scrutiny made my skin crawl. Did I say the wrong thing? I avoided lingering on his rugged features, but it was becoming clear why so many women risked losing their heads just for a night in his bed. Aldric Thorne was a man built for sin, a towering figure, nearly 2 meters tall, with a powerful scarred body, bold and commanding. Muscular, rough, impossibly sexy. His bare chest was covered in red and black tattoos against pale, battle-marked skin, and despite his icy aura, his long shoulder-length hair was deep crimson, just like his short beard, like fire, like blood he could spill without flinching. I don't care about your peculiarities, but I do expect you to have understood the rules clearly because I won't tolerate disobedience or tricks. He warned me, his voice dangerously low and guttural. I nodded, swallowing hard. Yes, your mage. And call me sir. I don't like that your majesty nonsense, he clarified, finally releasing me and walking toward the other side of the room. I exhaled, realizing I had been holding my breath the entire time. Yet, I could still catch that scent lingering from his skin, something like aged wine, rich, intoxicating, seductive. Could it be some cologne? I couldn't detect the pheromones of werewolves like others could. They'll be here soon to collect those women. Make sure they leave and clean up everything, he ordered without even sparing me a glance, then disappeared through a door leading to what seemed like another room. I remained standing there in the dim light, frozen for a moment, then, clenching my fists, I gathered my resolve and moved to deal with his lover still in bed. I opened the door and stared in shock at the chaotic scene. Inside, the room was dimly lit, clothes strewn across the floor, and in the center, 3 naked women lay sprawled on a massive oak bed. The heavy scent of lust filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Ladies, it's time to leave, I said softly, stopping at the edge of the bed. But none of them reacted, their eyes shut as if completely oblivious. They looked exhausted, their bodies marked with bites, bruises, and a mess of fluids, semen mixed with blood, staining their thighs. The king ordered you to leave. You need to. Shut the hell up, you annoying brat, snarled the busta blonde lying in the middle of the 2 brunettes, even throwing a pillow at me, which I narrowly dodged. Well, they still have some energy left, it seems. Okay, this wasn't going as smoothly as I had imagined. and they were already settling back down as if planning to sleep there. Aren't they uncomfortable covered in all that stuff? But I couldn't fail my first task. I knew he had done this on purpose. To test me. I headed to the bathroom, filled a basin with cold water, and placed it near the bed. Rolling up my sleeves, exposing my pale arms, I then walked over to the massive crimson curtains, grabbed the heavy fabric, and yanked them open with force. "Aya, close it, you bitch. Close the damn curtain." They screeched like the possessed. Even though the sky was overcast, the sun never really shone brightly here. This land was always cloaked in thick fog. Grabbing the basin, I lifted it and splash. Drenched them in icy water to snap them out of it. "Have you lost your damn mind, you filthy maid? Valeria. It's horrible she's deformed. You're just jealous. That's why you want to keep us away from the king. The Lord has said you must leave now." I repeated impassively, standing at the foot of the bed while they hurled insults at me. But I felt nothing, not cold, not heat. I thought about how to get them out since, weakened or not, there were 3 of them and only one of me. Just then loud knocks echoed from the side door leading to the hallway, a door I hadn't even noticed before. It had to be the person sent to remove them from the castle. I walked over and opened it, revealing 2 sturdy servants who entered without a word. The women began to resist, covering their nakedness, screaming that their bodies were only for the king, threatening that our heads would roll. I didn't need to be here long to see through their lies. That man had used them like disposable objects and was now discarding them like trash. The blonde rushed toward the door leading to the dining hall, but I stepped in front of her, standing firm and blocking her way. "Have some dignity and leave already. The king has ordered it. Don't risk dying. I want him to tell me himself. Last night, he showed me otherwise. Get out of my way." She lunged at me, baring her fangs. I defended myself, grabbing her arms mid-air as we struggled. Her long claws scratched me in her fury, and I knew I could control her because right now she was weak. This she-wolf was stronger than me. Honestly, anyone was stronger than me. With the help of the servants, we managed to drag the last crazed woman out of the room. I shut the door, breathing heavily. Quite the first day on the job, I muttered in resignation, staring at the disaster I now had to clean. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. I wiped the sweat from my forehead, taking a moment to catch my breath, surveying the nearly tidy room. The worst part was the bed. Even after removing the dirty sheets, I had gone overboard with the water. So I thought of pushing the mattress closer to the window to let it air out and catch some sun. "MMN," I grunted, yanking at the heavy king-size mattress, my hands trembling. I doubted I could move it. I kept struggling when. "How many centuries does it take you to organize a room?" His voice startled me. I hadn't heard him enter. I turned to apologize, but a wrong step, my nerves, and apparently a sticky substance I'd left on the floor caused me to lose my balance and fall forward. By instinct, I grabbed onto the first thing I could, falling to my knees with my eyes shut tight. Something had slipped from my hands, and now another thing, thick, brushed against my nose. A dark, musky, intoxicating scent assaulted my senses. When I opened my eyes again and saw the sight before me, I wished I could die right there without needing him to kill me. In my hands was a black towel. I assumed it had been around the king's hips, and I was on my knees, clutching his powerful thighs, with a massive, veiny member right in front of my wide eyes. Shit, this could make you cry was the first thing that crossed my mind in my nervous breakdown. And to think it was only semi-erect, not even Dorian's compared in detail. "Should I fetch a tape measure so you can size it up too?" His cold voice snapped me out of my frozen state. Terrified, I raised my gaze to see him completely naked, in all his glory, his burgundy hair loose and tousled, damp from the shower, and I could swear his gray eyes held a mocking glint. "Your Majesty, I'm so sorry. Please, spare the life of this humble servant who doesn't deserve your mercy." I threw myself to the ground, pressing my forehead against the hard surface, begging him. What I had done was unforgivable. By the goddess, I had even stayed there, staring at it. His threatening shadow loomed over my trembling body. I clenched my eyes shut, bracing for the end. "I'll leave right away. I beg you. I'll leave the castle, please. I don't have the patience to find a new servant every day." You leave when I decide so. Now get up. His deep voice rumbled close to my ear. And I felt him tugging at the towel I still clutched in my hands, that I released it immediately, sweat trailing down my back as my entire body trembled. Besides, if you're going to serve me, it won't be the last time you see me naked. It's not a big deal. Come to the dining room, he added before his bare footsteps echoed away from the room. Swallowing nervously, I stood on shaky legs. Come on, Valeria, focus please. Try the breakfast, he ordered, gesturing to the food set on the table. He sat, dominating the large chair. Observing my every move, I picked up the fork and cut a small piece from each dish, tasting everything bite by bite. If something is not to your liking, I can ask the kitchen to. That won't be necessary. Everything's fine, he interrupted and then fell silent. I kept my gaze on the floor, unsure of what he was waiting for, frantically reviewing every rule in my mind. Do you think I'm a savage who eats with his hands? What? No, your maj. Sir. I quickly lifted my gaze and saw him glancing at the fork still in my hand. Holy goddess! I had covered the only utensil with saliva. The housekeeper hadn't mentioned I had to taste the food here too. I'll get another. I'm so sorry. You seem to apologize well, he said as he took the fork from my hand. It's dirty. I ate with it. I didn't finish because he wiped it with a napkin and began eating calmly. I stepped back, standing in the corner, awaiting his orders. Through my bangs, I occasionally stole glances at him. He looked relaxed, half naked, wearing just the towel, eating and reviewing some documents beside him. No matter what the Lycan King did, his aggressive aura filled the entire space, demanding only obedience and submission. This was my new master. And honestly, I was starting to wonder if I'd be better off running far away from this castle. And this pack. Aldric Thorne was the most dangerous thing I could have crossed paths with. Asterisk. Days passed. And despite my rookie mistakes, I managed to survive. The Lord wasn't constantly present at the castle either. He often traveled between packs or faced dangerous situations. I hadn't even seen the other guardians until one morning. Phew. I honestly don't know how you handle the pressure and temptation, said Juliet. She was the only staff member who had approached me. An extroverted, cheerful girl, that I didn't consider her a friend, though. I'd never trust a woman like that again. But at least her chatter kept me entertained. We were walking through the underground corridor, carrying laundry baskets, when a side door leading to one of the mini training gyms opened. A massive Lycan emerged. I knew by the powerful aura he projected that we immediately lowered our heads, waiting for him to pass, but his steps approached us instead. Are these clean towels? Asked a strong but calm male voice. Yes, sir, I answered, realizing I was the one carrying them. I glanced up for a second. Enchanting golden eyes stared back at me. I quickly lowered my gaze to the carpet and handed him a towel. But as he reached out, our fingers brushed for a moment. His touch was warm. Despite being intimidating, this Lycan projected a protective aura, not as sharp and wild as the king's. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Relax, it's fine. Thank you, he replied, taking the towel and walking away down the hallway. And then I dared to look at his back. Blonde hair, massive like all Lycans, powerful, his muscular, sweaty back glistening, dressed in black combat gear. It seemed like he had been training. For some reason, the combination of his eyes and hair reminded me a bit of Dorian. I didn't want to remember that bastard. But the mind could be a traitor. He had been the first and only man I'd loved. Right? He's so handsome. I mean, they're all sexy and hot. But for me, the best ones are the king and guardian Quinn. Though the king, that man is pure fire. I'm torn. What do you think, Valeria? Would you prefer the king or Quinn? Before I could scold her for talking so carelessly, her face turned pale, staring behind me in panic. A powerful presence pressed against my back, hot breath brushing against my ear. I'd like to know too, Valeria. Who would you prefer? And why the hell did you let another man touch what's mine? The basket in my hands begins to tremble along with my hands. I'm done for. And even though I know he's talking about the towels, for some reason, it feels like he's talking about me. Sir. Get out, he ordered Juliet, who looked at me for a second with guilt. but had no choice but to flee, almost running. I remained with my back to him. Could I run too? I'm still waiting, Valeria. Tell me, are you unhappy with the position you were given? Would you prefer to be Quinn's personal maid instead? Turn around, damn it.